Well, we're at this point. Honestly, I never thought that I would film this, but a lot of people have been asking me for a while. Cause yeah, like, if you guys remember, I made a video a while back saying I'm not going to be filming or making content for the next 2 years. And here I am, less than 2 years later, back to filming again. You know? Sorry, let's start again. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. It's your boy, Peyton Smeltz. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, all that jazz. Go follow all my social medias. Links in the description. Go follow Smeltz's Personal Podcast. Available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And, you know, all that good stuff. But without further ado, let's get back on topic of what we're doing today. All right. So, it's time to finally answer the question that I've been asked literally for weeks. Why I came home early. And like I said in the beginning, it was a very, very hard video to film because at the same time, it's a very hard thing for me to bring up, and it still is. But, you know, some people are curious. And, well, to start off, I did do an episode on Smeltz's Personal Podcast back in February. Back over a month ago, I did an episode on Smeltz's Personal Podcast where I explained, kind of the reasons why. And I also kind of talked about mission experiences as well, like the experiences I had there and stuff like that. So go follow Smeltz's Personal Podcast. Link in the description, and you can go watch that. You can go listen to that episode. But I think it's time to open up about what really happened. From the day I got set apart to the day that I went to Provo for the Missionary Training Center, to the point I left Provo to fly out to Cali, and then the 2 months in Cali, and then the obviously coming home from Cali and what it's like now. I think that's kind of how I want to break it up today. So let's start off with the first thing, which was getting set apart and my time in Provo. So why don't we do that? Okay, so we're going to start off with talking about my time at the Provo MTC. But also, before I left for the Provo MTC, I actually did a week at home. Because I guess that was a thing that they were doing. It kind of started with COVID and everything, with people being home and all anyway, throughout their entire missionary experience, and then being flown out to wherever they were going. But yeah, I did a week at home, and then I spent about 2 or so weeks in Provo, learning English. Well, not really learning English, just being taught the principles and stuff like that. But week at home, and then it became the day where I was leaving home to go to Provo. It was a very emotional day, especially for my parents, just because, especially my mom, just because I'm the baby in the family, and they knew that this was going to happen, but it was still really hard to let me go. Because they realized that, yeah, they weren't going to see me for a very long time. And so when I got to Provo, the first day that I got there, I was ecstatic. I was like, I can't believe I'm here, you know? I was so excited. I was like, I can't wait to work with my companions for the next 2 weeks, and it's going to be awesome. Learn the principles, and then, yeah, just get me out to California already. It's I want to be in sunny, beautiful California. I don't want to be in Utah where there's snow and winter time and all this other stuff. So the first week, absolutely amazing. And then throughout Another week while I was there, it was the week of my birthday, I would say. And that's kind of where things kind of took a toll. Just because I'm like, it's my birthday. And one, I'm not with my family, I'm with other people. And also, me and one of my companions were kind of arguing about something. We weren't agreeing on a lot of things. And I just felt like very, very attacked almost by one of my companions. Because I was in a trio, so I had one companion and I had another. Both of these elders were going to Zimbabwe, and I was going to Riverside, California. And so one of the elders, just me and him weren't getting along very well, and we kind of had some disagreements about things. And then, I was going through some personal things myself, like just personal feelings that I was having and stuff like that. And my companion made me seem like I was doing something wrong when I told the sisters in our district about like what was happening and stuff. And just like things that I was feeling. And then as the week progressed, I kind of just got over it and realized that, hey, I'm leaving for California in a couple days. I don't want to be fighting with Elder so-and-so until I leave, because I don't want to leave on bad terms with this guy. Like, I see us becoming like best friends in the future, and like I don't want to be at bad terms with him, especially since we're not going to see each other for a while. And then yeah, obviously it came the day where I was flying out to California, and I got driven to the airport. Well, I took a bus to the front runner station, then took a front runner to the track station, and then took the track train to the airport. And then got my boarding pass, checked my bags, went to security, met up with my mom and dad one last time. They gave me my personal debit card, and then I flew out from Salt Lake City to Ontario, California. Which leads us into the next part of the mission, which was arriving in California and my experiences the first few weeks in California. So let's get into that. I feel like this is going to be the longer part of the video, but this is me explaining my time in Cali. So I fly out from Salt Lake City and arrive in Ontario, California. And it was awesome, because as soon as I landed, I was like, I can't believe I'm actually here. I'm in the state that I've always wanted to live. I mean, I wasn't in the exact part where I wanted to live, because I wanted to live in Los Angeles, but obviously, I mean, I was still in California, I'm counting it, but I wasn't in the city that I've always wanted to live. But I still was there. No winter, no snow. It seemed like I was living the dream life. I got there, I go down the stairs, and I was greeted by the most friendly missionary I have ever met in my life. Shout out to Elder Parker Young. He is an absolute amazing individual. He was the first missionary I met when I was in California, and he wasn't even my companion. He was what we called an AP, which is the assistant to the mission president, and his wife. And then after I met Elder Young, that's when I met President and Sister Hendrickson, which are my mission presidents, and they are the most amazing people, like super sweet, and they treated me like I was their own son, I mean, technically they were my parents. They were going to be my mission parents for the next 2 years. And so, it was super awesome to finally meet them and get to know them and stuff like that. And it was just awesome. And then it became the time where we had to pack up into cars and we had to drive to the mission office in Riverside, California. Not the mission home, which I quickly found out that the mission home and the mission office are two different places. I thought the mission home was where we were going. Because when we pulled up to the church, I was like, oh, is this the mission home? He goes, no, that's just the mission office. I was like, well, where's the mission home? And they said the mission home is like 10, 15 minutes away from here. And I was like, okay. So I did not know that the mission home and the mission office were two separate places. So we went to the mission office, which is where the new missionaries met up with their trainers, which was going to be their companions for the next 12 weeks. And I met the most friendly, most amazing, and hardworking elder I have ever met in my life, which was my trainer. His name was Elder Caden Poley. And I gotta say, this guy, we had our ups and downs, but I gotta say, this guy was probably one of the best companions I ever had in my life. He was so understanding about everything. He never wanted me to keep anything from him. He wanted to know everything. And he's like, if you're ever going through a hard time, I want to know about it because I want to help you. Like, if you feel like you can't go out some days, like, tell me. And also, like, I'm not going to force you to do something that you don't feel comfortable with that yet. Yeah, like, we should be doing it, but I'm not going to force you to do something, you know? And he was very understanding about my situations. We would always try, like, certain things. And then if things didn't work out, we always had a backup plan. And so it was the first night. And I remember I had, like, a little tickle in my throat that night. And I guess I feel like this part could be separated. But yeah, I was in California, and after my first night, I had to drive, because we found out what our first areas were. I was going to be in Temecula for 6 weeks until either I stayed there or I got transferred there, because transfers happen every 6 weeks in the mission. And so I was either going to stay in Temecula for another 6 weeks with Elder Poley, or I was going to get transferred with Elder Poley to another area. And so my first area was in Temecula. So I had to drive an hour and a half, almost 45 minutes with nightly traffic and California drivers, which are morons, all the way from Riverside, California to Temecula, California. And I gotta say, once I got to my apartment, I met the two most amazing elders that I was rooms with. Elder Carson Coombs and Elder Tate Nicholas. They were the other companionship in our apartment. We were in a 4-man apartment. Me and Elder Poley, and then Elder Coombs and Elder Nicholas. And we were biking elders. This was a biking area. And so, after that, why don't we get into the next part, which, after my first night in California, things kind of took a turn. And I want to explain that. Now, this is me kind of explaining my time in Cali, which the time period I was in California for a total of 2 months. And I'll finally tell you why. So, after my first night in California, I woke up the next day feeling really, really not the best. And I'm like, please don't tell me I'm sick the first week, the first day in the mission field. And what was even more frustrating was I had to get on a conference call with my mission president. And I did not sound the best either. It was an interview. It was a get-to-know-you interview. And so he FaceTimed me. I mean, it was more like it was a Zoom call. He Zoom called me, or Facebook Messenger, or whatever we were using. And it was a video chat with him, and he was like, hey, Elder Smeltzer, how you doing? And I was like, I'm good, thanks for asking. Like, my voice was like raspy. I had a sore throat. I had a headache. I kept like sniffing like that every 5 seconds, and it was bad. And so at the end of the interview, he asked me, he goes, is there any questions you have for me? I was like, not really question, but I'm worried that I may or may not be coming down with something, and like I don't want to be like I want to know like what to do. And he instantly was like, well, if you don't feel good, like if you feel sick, I suggest you call our health advisor, Elder Carlson, and get some advice from him. And sure enough, we called the health advisor. And I gotta say, I probably was this guy's favorite elder because I was calling this guy almost every single week that I was there. At least once or twice a week. And that's not a joke. Like, all seriousness. It was bad. And so we called him the first night. He suggested that I take a COVID test. I tested negative for COVID, which was fantastic. And then what sucked was I was sick for a total of about a week and a half. And then I came down with laryngitis. And after I just got over being sick, I started dealing with a lot of lack of sleep where I was getting, I'd say probably, if I was lucky, probably at most 3 hours to 4 hours of sleep a night. And then some nights I wouldn't sleep at all. And like, obviously it wouldn't be like back-to-back nights where I wasn't sleeping, because I actually heard that if you go a certain amount of time without sleeping or only get a certain amount of hours within a couple days, like, you could actually self-induce yourself into a coma. And obviously I wasn't in a coma, so Temecula was really, really hard, because then I started to ride my bike, and it was hard for me to ride it because your boy was dealing with lack of sleep, and it was almost like drowsy driving. I literally was on my bike, like, kept like swerving around all over the place, and it would be a new thing almost every single day. I'd wake up in pain. I would wake up with a stomach issue, or I'd have a headache or a migraine, or I was not sleeping very good. I would pass out during, like, work that we had to do, like planning out our day. I remember I was laying on the couch, like, doing our daily planning for the day, and I literally kept, like, going like this. I kept, like, shutting my eyes, opening them, shutting them, opening them, and then I just black out. And then I remember Elder Pulley was putting a blanket on me. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You were sleeping." I was like, "Not really." It's like, I'm not supposed to be sleeping. Come on, man. And so then I would say I got to about 3 weeks, almost a month in Temecula. And I remember I was calling my mom about all these issues that I was dealing with. And I said to her, I was like, "Would you be disappointed?" Sorry, the video got cut off. But to continue what I was saying, I asked my mom straight up, "Mom, would you be mad or disappointed if I came home?" And she said, "I'm not going to answer that question. Because, like, why would you even think about coming home? You've only been there for not even a month." And I remember just crying on the phone, thinking, like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm in constant pain all the time. I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do at this point? And I called my dad, asked him the same thing. He kind of reacted the same way. And he kind of just told me to keep pushing. Called my stake president. He told me the same thing. Keep pushing. And so I tried. I kept pushing. I made a promise to myself that no matter what was happening, that I was going to try my best to, stay there and stick it out. And so it was like that up until I left Temecula. And I gotta say, while I was in Temecula, I received 3 priesthood blessings of comfort and healing, because obviously I was dealing with a lot of sickness and, lack of sleep, and also just comfort to really know that my Heavenly Father is with me always, and that He's not disappointed in me despite the little work that I've been able to accomplish. And so that was my time in Temecula. I think I want to talk about my time in Corona now, which was after 6 weeks, I transferred to a new place. It was Corona, California. and my health got out of control while I was in Corona. There were nights where I would wake up on time. I ended up not waking up on time. Almost 2 hours past on time. Sometimes 3 hours past on time. There were also points where I had to be babysat because Elder Smeltzer didn't have the energy or the willpower to get out of bed some nights, some days. So we had these other elders come over to take care of me. Appreciate them. Elder Carter and Elder Hannah. Appreciate y'all. While my other two companions, I was put back into a trio when I moved to Corona. Elder Miles and Elder Pulley and myself. Elder Miles, amazing guy, district leader. He taught me one thing, and it's like, I want you all to look in the mirror and remind yourself that you are awesome, that you are a child of God, that he knows you, and that he loves you, and that you are gifted with the Holy Ghost as your constant companion. That is something I will take into my life every single day. And so a couple weeks pass, and it's getting close to the holiday, Thanksgiving. And I found out that there is something wrong with my teeth. Because I had this condition with my teeth. It's low enamel, where it's easier for me to get cavities and other things happen to my teeth. No matter how much I eat sugar, or if I don't eat sugar at all, I can't control it. And so we found out that I had multiple cavities that I thought I could have fixed in Cali, but sadly couldn't. And so they asked me to return home and get that fixed. And since I was dealing with a lot of other things, they asked me to stay longer and try to figure everything else out along with the dental work as well. And so the week before Thanksgiving, I sadly had to return home back to Utah due to dental work and a lot of other things. And so I kind of want to now go into the section where I explain my time of being home and then get into the last part, which is what I'm going to do for the future. So, sadly, after 2 months, I had to return back home to get the dental work done and everything else sorted out. And at this time, I was set apart and I was put into a service mission assignment. And I had the opportunity to do the following. I had the opportunity to serve in the temple, which I'm still doing to this day. And, do that. And also I had the opportunity to work a lot in other fields while I was here in Utah. But sadly, due to all the stress that I was under and the fact that I was just home and trying to do all these things, there were times where I'd be shown around by my new mission leaders, like the service mission leaders here in my stake. Like, they would show me around. They'd be like, hey, here's this mission assignment that you could do. Like, obviously, you're working in the temple. But, like, here's all these assignments that you could do. Like, would you be interested in any of these? And I remember just asking him, like, could I take a breather? Like, could I just take a week? Because they gave me the week when I came home, because obviously it was Thanksgiving. And then I finally got to meet them. And then I just kept asking for time to just relax. And I was like, could I take a week or so? And then that week turned into 2 weeks. And then that week turned into a month. And then, I found myself literally just sitting around and doing nothing. And I just was like, there's so much that I could be doing. And so sadly, I asked him, is there any way that I could just please be released? And obviously that was very, very hard to say because this was something I always wanted, and then it changed. because I remember, I didn't mention this before, but the week that I was coming home from, sorry, the video got cut off again. But I didn't mention this before. The week that I was coming home from Cali, I looked my companions in the eyes, Elder Polly and Elder Miles. I said, guys, elders, my bad. I said, elders, I gotta be upfront and honest with you. I don't think I can do this anymore. And of course, they were a little sympathetic, but at the same time, they were like, come on, man. Like, pick yourself up. You can do this. You'll get through this. And yeah, I came home, and after being home for a couple months, I was released in January. And then soon after I was released in January, I continued my work of service in the Jordan River Temple. And I'm also working a full-time job. And so that is kind of how my life is looking after coming home after 2 months. And I still am serving in the temple. And I think I would just like to close off this video by bearing with you guys my testimony. I know that this church is true. And I know that God loves me for who I am. Despite the fact that I didn't last the 2 years. I know that Heavenly Father is extremely grateful and proud of the work that I was able to do while I was there. He loves me the way that I am, but He also loves me too much to leave me the way I am. And I know that down the road, it is going to be hard to accept. It still is. But I know that those 2 months that I was there is something I would not trade for anything else. And so I guess I just want to take this moment to say thank you guys for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I love you guys so much and appreciate the support. I want to now close off this video by just saying appreciate the support, and I want to show this little montage of all the pictures like that I took. Well, actually, stay tuned for that video. I'm going to make a video of all the pictures from my mission after this video goes out. But hey, I love you guys so much, and I hope you guys can understand why this had to happen, and I'm super excited to be making content with you guys again. But hey, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, all that jazz. Go follow all my social medias, links in the description. Peace out, you guys. I'll see you in the next one.